Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
Subscribe to Simply Bitcoin.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. You made it to another episode of the Meme Factory podcast. This is TEP stream number 74. Anybody who watches or listens with any regularity knows there will never be a real stream. Test streams from here to infinity because that way they can't shut us down. This evening, guy needs no introduction. We are joined by Greg Foss. Greg, can you say hello to everybody?
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
You did that so well.
Beautiful.
I'm practicing, man.
It's good. It's good. It's a good place to start here with your podcast tour. That way people can start getting used to it. Now, this is your second time on the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember last time, one of the idiosyncrasies of our show is that our sponsors require us to have the guests read the ad copy. So if you'll check your DMs, I'm going to shoot that sucker over to you now. And if you can run through it whenever you're comfortable with it, we'll get paid and get on with the actual, pod here.
Okay. DMs on Twitter, yeah?
DMs on Twitter, yeah.
All right. Here we go. Man, it's long. All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Greg Foss, and this episode of the Meme Factory podcast is brought to you by Suscorp's new furniture piece, the Risk Chair with a trademark. Introducing the most uncomfortable chair you'll ever sit in. Our chair is designed with your comfort in mind, featuring a unique ergonomic design that neither supports your back nor promotes good posture. The adjustable armrests and height do absolutely nothing to ensure a perfect fit for everyone, while soft and durable materials that might provide long-lasting comfort have been entirely overlooked. The Wrist Chair samples the voices of your family and loved ones and runs them in a loop with messages like, "We'd have the kids' tuition money if you hadn't invested in Silicon Valley Bank." Or, "Your wife is probably texting her ex while you work overtime on this bond deal." Whether you're working from home, reading a book, or just in need of an uncomfortable place to sit, our chair is the answer. The sleek, stylish design is perfect for any home or office, and the high-quality materials ensure that it will last for years to come. Don't settle for a chair that leaves you feeling sore and tired. Buy the one that makes you want to mask your feelings of stress and inadequacy with hard drug use and overeating. Upgrade to our chair today and experience the ultimate in discomfort and emotional damage.
Yeah, hey.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. That was cheers to your sponsor.
Thank you so much.
Can I give one sponsor myself here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just went paddleboarding on Lake Ontario and I got back.
Swan Bitcoin.
Yeah, no. Look. Can you see what that says?
Bretton Woods.
I'm wearing my Bretton Woods shell that I got actually in Bretton Woods with I know it was the first time I hung out for a long time with Jeff Booth, and that was a lot of fun. We drove from Montreal all the way down to New Hampshire and back. So that was my PhD with Jeff Booth, 6 hours in a car. It was worth every moment. So yeah, I'm wearing this Bretton Woods in honor of what the fuck happened, right? With Bretton Woods and what the fuck happened in 1971 and what the fuck is happening today. It's all related.
It is. But before we get too far with talking about how it's all related, we need to make sure we get your sandwich order for the evening. So I'm going to pass this over to Becca so she can go through what's on the menu for you tonight.
Beautiful. Hi, Greg. Thank you for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
I hope to kind of impress you with my sandwich menu, since I do know you own some pubs, so you may have some experience with this.
That's awesome.
So I have 3 specials for you today. The Prime Crust Breakfast Special. So this comes with strips of Tomer turkey and cheesy Alex, I'll take your Mike cheddar, and a vegan patty. And it comes with a Swan sponsorship. So, you could double up on it. So
Don't those come
Rock
with
and
every
roll.
sandwich?
pretty much, yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Our second special is for the kids meal. So it's a triple D mix rated meat nuggets served with unfortunately the Tears of Foss dipping sauce, and it doesn't come with a toy because we sold off the future.
Ship it in.
Our last one, our trusty house special, Yellow's Don't Stop Believing Steak Sammy, has been marinated in Red Bull for 501 days.
Damn.
So-
Well, here's the crazy thing. I have a daughter named Sammy. I know you're talking about a sandwich menu, but this is really in honor of my daughter. So that's pretty cool. I would buy all three, but the Tears of Foss are very special. So that's my focus right there.
Beautiful. Awesome. We'll have that right over to you.
Excellent. All right, so this evening we've got a little game for our viewers that we're putting up on the screen right now. So keep them a little interested. Anybody who is watching can play along. Just got to pay attention to the things Greg Foss will say during the course of the show. If anybody gets a bingo, we want to make sure that we hear it from you in the chat. Now, Greg,
Yes, sir.
like I said before, man, this is your second time on the show. It's been a year since you've last been on here. You look much angrier.
Damn. All right. Probably true. All that I can think of is you signing potatoes in Miami last year. That seriously was my thought process coming onto this was, that was very funny. But I'm not that angry, guys. I think that we've all made our points, and now all you can do is just say, look, we tried our hardest, right? So I'm nervous. But I'm not angry.
Okay. Well, I asked you on because of all the turmoil that's happening in the markets today. You and I talked about this briefly. I said, hey, look, I need somebody to unpack what's happening. So, because I sound like, you know, the meme with Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's raging in front of a corkboard behind him with arrows and pictures and lines going everywhere. I mean, that's what I feel like I look like when I'm trying to explain how we got here to my friends and family. So
that's what you always look like.
It's true. It's true. But to friends and family, it's like an extra level. But
okay.
Can you walk me through how we got to a 0% Fed funds rate effectively, and how that led to Silvergate and SVB and Credit Suisse and what we're seeing today? Can you just connect those dots for me?
Okay, certainly. I mean, it was a historical process. Excuse me, meaning that it didn't happen quickly. In fact, it happened over a period of almost 40 years, right? When back when I first started trading, that was in 1988. So 6 years prior to that, in 1982, interest rates hit their all-time highs in the USA in this for our generation. Right around 17%, okay, on the U.S. 10-year bond. And since 1982, it's literally been a step function, but, you know, fairly regular down for a number of reasons. Firstly, Paul Volcker, all 6'7" of him, did actually get inflation under control in the 1980s. And he was a big man with a big attitude. And he was also dealing with a different balance sheet than his current, because the debt structure of the USA was a lot different 40 years ago than it is today. But the reason I say he was 6'7" is because Janet Yellen, when interest rates were at all-time lows, is only 5 feet tall. She's a midget, okay? So it's funny. I saw a really funny meme, and maybe it wasn't you guys, but it was by Hedgeye, that showed the height of the various Fed chairmen with where interest rates were over their period. And then you end up with Yellen right in the bottom, the midget that she is, basically bringing interest rates down to zero. Why did it happen? Well, first of all, there's deflationary pressures in the economy, which included financial crises. Okay, so a financial crisis is deflationary. And in that period of time, we went through 4 of them. Latin American debt, long-term capital management, the great financial crisis, which was hugely deflationary, and eventually COVID. Okay, all of those are deflationary events coupled with a technological change, which Jeff Booth talks about all the time. Technology is deflationary, right? Think about how it can remove costs from the system and everything like that. So those 2 things combined took interest rates from 17% 40 years ago down to almost 0. In fact, 0 for all intents and purposes. But
so
go ahead.
If I can unpack that, the deflationary nature of technology made it so that the Fed could decrease interest rates without.
Also correct, but also the financial calamities that they engineered along the way were hugely deflationary. So let's not overlook, like, I'm not saying one or the other, but the combination of both of them allowed interest rates to come down.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So then, though, we hit COVID, and there was a response like they always have, right, guys? They print more money. But on top of the printing of money, I believe they made a huge error by adding $2 trillion of fiscal stimulus. Like Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, basically made a decision to add another $2 trillion of stimulus to the economy in the form of incremental debt. But that turbocharged inflation at a time when supply chains were disrupted and everything like that. And you had this massive, basically it was like a python swallowing a hippopotamus, right? It had to work itself through the system. This hippo had to come through the system. And it's because of supply chain disruptions and everything. So you had 40 years of down. And then all of a sudden you had a Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, who honestly got in way over his head and said, okay, let's start with it. Interest rates are going to be lower for longer. Well, how do you go much lower than 0? Only the idiot Europeans could go negative, but that's for Europe to figure out because they're a bunch of clowns.
The Japanese too, right?
Japanese don't count. They've been so fucked up forever that you just can't. You know, you can't look.
What do you mean, you people?
Well, okay, so, but I got to be on. See, one of the things I love about your show is we got to tell the truth, right? So, you know, you have a situation in Japan where they have a demographic base that's totally different than anywhere else in the world. They're, you know, too many old people, trade surplus, not a trade deficit. Okay, so that allowed them to do a whole lot of different stuff because they export. You know, they're a net exporter, not a net importer. But for an expanding economy with the world's, petrodollar, the USA was in a unique situation. So it comes all the way down to close to 0. The idiot Europeans go to negative, okay? Because, you know, they've just totally lost the plot because they also have an aging demographic. But USA is right around 0. And then they force feed this stimulus into a system with supply chain disruptions and everything, including people not going to work because why go to work? They just gave me all this money to sit at home in my basement. So all of this stuff came to a head so viciously that we're now up to, and this is the funny part, guys, we're up to 4.75%. Remember, this started at 17%, and now they broke it by pushing it from 0 back up to 4.5%. So the system is broken. It's not surprising that it's broken, but I think people trying to paper over the reality of the situation are missing it. Okay, this system is in extreme duress right now. It's very, very serious.
I want to back this up a little bit.
Yeah.
You went from 0 to 4. And you did it fast, almost
That's
as fast.
counting, Greg.
Almost as fast as Powell did it.
Well,
so
yeah.
What prompted needing to go from 0 to 4?
Well, remember, he said we're going to be lower for longer, and then, oh my goodness, inflation is out of the bag, but it's going to be
They overshot it.
transitory. But then it's not transitory anymore. It's structural. And so the true answer is somewhere in between. But the reality was inflation went to close to 10%, right? So the Fed has two mandates that are official. The first one is full employment. The second one is inflation. Now, those are almost counter, they almost work against each other. How do you get full employment without inflation? But let's not go there. There's actually a third mandate that's unwritten, and it's financial stability. But they believed they could fight inflation by jacking up interest rates and not destabilize the financial system. Well, too late. They've destabilized the financial system. Inflation is going to maintain a level higher than the Fed funds rate, because if they try and get it up another, call it 200 basis points or 2%, you thought it was bad now, it would just absolutely implode. So, the Fed is in between a rock and a hard place. And the worst part of it is they haven't succeeded in killing inflation. Employment is going to fall off a cliff because we're going to go into a recession. And then they're going to have to stabilize the economy by printing more money. So they basically failed on all three fronts, which is a pretty pathetic track record. Not surprising for a lawyer, though. Okay. You have a lawyer sitting in a risk chair that's never done this, and he blew it.
Do you think he bought his from Suscorp?
Well, I don't know what that means. His risk chair, Suscorp. I guess he's never actually even sat in the chair, though. Here's the funniest thing: how can you put that man in charge?
He never bought it.
I'm getting drunk already.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's the outcome. Now, guys, look, I'm not saying anyone else would have done a better job, because the system is absolutely stacked against him. Right? The system started with Volcker with a debt load that was manageable, and essentially the debt load has doubled, and now it's no longer manageable. So Jerome Powell did one really silly thing, in my opinion. He accepted a second term as chairman of the Federal Reserve. He should have just ridden out on the sunset after his first term was over and thrown this mess at someone else. But somehow he decided he would take a second term. And I think he'll go down in history as the dumbest Federal Reserve chairman. Well, that's not true, because a lot of them have been really dumb. At the end of the day, it's the system. It's not the person. It's the system.
Why do you think the public still trusts the Fed? When the Fed overshot in the first place and we got inflation, why do they think that the Fed can handle that and get us away from that and fix the problem?
I actually don't know, Sean. I mean, isn't it funny that the world waits on the words of yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. And you saw the statement, and you see the red lines in the statements of the words they've changed from the previous statement. If you haven't, I sent it out today, but it's actually comical that the people wait on the words. And yesterday, Jerome Powell said, I wouldn't focus on the words. And it was something, I'll focus on the words may and could rather than ongoing and something. I mean, God darn, guys, it's word salad. Like, you think the world is waiting on your interpretation of a couple of words in a press statement. That actually indicates to me how sad the whole situation has become.
Well, and Christine Lagarde, she also made a quote that was like similar to that, where I can't remember it either, but she said one thing in the next sentence. She was like, I said this, but I didn't say it at the same time. Man.
Well, then we had the other thing that I found comical, which is actually not even comical. It's actually people are going to lose a lot of money because of it. You had Powell saying, we're going to insure all deposits. And at the very same time, or maybe the same afternoon, not quite at the same time, you had Yellen saying, we're not going to insure all deposits. Like, this is herding cats. This is not even funny. Okay. And yet these are the people apparently running the financial system. So again, this is a podcast of truth, and all I'm telling is the truth. And truthfully, I think a lot of Bitcoiners saw this coming, but even us crazy Bitcoiners are shaking our head with the circus act that's going on right now. Right.
Absolutely, but we briefly are going to need to go to Rusty, who I'm seeing he has his hand up.
Okay.
Oh, good morning, Greg. Sorry,
Hi,
I'm
buddy.
sorry a bit late. Didn't get the memo about the early start. I was listening to the Powell, and it felt like, because he said the other day that the reason we have 2% inflation is because everybody believes we have 2% inflation, and therefore the inflation is 2%. So it feels like a bit of a mind game. So is Jerome Powell, is what he's doing here, is he just saying all your funds are safe? Don't worry, all your funds are safe. So that everyone believes they are, and therefore no one does bank run. Is it just like a mind game that they're playing with everyone?
I think that's a pretty good analogy.
No,
Okay, go ahead, Yellow. Go ahead.
no, I just want to say no because the obvious answer is yes.
All right. But here's the truth. Okay, look, you have banking is a game of confidence. And once there's a crack in confidence, it's really hard to put your finger in that dike, right? So they have to come back and all I've said, and I'm not the only one. Once the central bankers say everything is okay, that's when you really got to get worried, because you know everything is not okay, right?
Sorry, Becca's just having a great time because you said put that finger in that dike, and she's loving it right now.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a great question from the chat. Since you're bringing up the fact that this is a truthful podcast. This is from Marty's Owl. Shout out to Marty's Owl. It's a great question. Foss, if you had to give up BJ's or Bitcoin, which would it be?
I'm 60 years old, guys. I mean, let's be honest. Both are extremely valuable. At the end of the day, though, I'm saving one for my kids. I would have to give up the first one, not the second.
Wrong answer. Wrong answer.
I know, but
really
look, guys,
hurt my jaw.
you're
60 years old. You got what? 30 more years left at BJ's. Come on.
You have to, guys. You have
Greg,
to understand. You're
killing
age.
us, man.
All right. Okay.
Killing
okay.
us.
Look. How about if I'm a risk manager and I said, can I give up 3/4 of one and 1/4 of another, or something like that?
3/4. That's worse than none.
Someone called Peter.
Now, we got about halfway through the first question. I asked you about how we got from 0% to Silvergate, SVB, and Credit Suisse. Walk me through how we get to these rates making these banks collapse.
So what happened is you had an interest rate shock, and most of the risk in banking over the last 40 years, because rates have been on a one-way decline, has been focused on credit risk, right? A bank will make loans to various borrowers of different credit quality. That has always been the focus, because interest rates have always been on a one-way path down. And when interest rates are on a one-way path down, bond prices go higher, which means any securities they held in their book get bid up in price. Well, as soon as they hit the bottom and started going the other way, the interest rate exposure became the reverse. They weren't making money on their securities portfolio. They were losing money. Now, remember, I said that the primary risk of a bank is credit risk. Well, these guys have all blown their wad for, technical purposes on the fact that they took interest rate risk, and they don't even have capital or losses left to protect against credit losses, equity capital to protect against equity losses, credit losses, when the inevitable credit slowdown comes and a recession causes yield spreads to increase and causes mortgage values to fall, meaning the price of the properties, I should say. So we are in horrible shape, guys. And the shape that we're in right now is because of interest rate risk. Wait until the credit risk kicks in. And here's the crazy thing. Yesterday in the press conference, I think Powell mentioned the word credit 10 times as often as he mentioned the word inflation, because you have people actually counting these words. He is so concerned about credit risk now, he's not even concerned about inflation. This has been a total 180-degree pivot in his focus, and it's quite sad. It really is quite sad.
So, okay, I have a question, right? Because, at the beginning of 2022, everyone was saying like you can't taper Ponzi. They're not going to raise rates because the credit of the United States, the debt was so big that if you raise rates, it's going to cause a huge expense for the United States.
Correct. Interest expense. Correct.
But then what ended up happening was they did that, and what happened was the interest rate risk was really what showed up with Signature and Silicon
Yes.
Valley. So what's the difference between interest rate risk and a credit contraction, in your words?
Remember, when the business of banking is very simple. If you bring in deposits, which are short term, let's say in Canada, we have certificates of deposit. You have the same thing in the United States. Let's say you sign a 90-day certificate of deposit at a bank and it pays you 2%. And the bank is able to take your deposit and roll it into a 90-day T-bill, treasury bill, that pays 4.5%. That's a really good business, isn't it? Because first of all, people are giving you as a bank their money.
Mm-hmm.
So you have their money and you can take their money and lend it out with a 2.5% spread on it. That's a great business. No risk because you have their money. That is the business of banking that makes sense. But what did these knuckleheads do? They took in bank deposits and they didn't match it with the equivalent maturity treasury here at 90 days. They went way out on the curve and lent for 30 years. Because Powell was saying rates are going to be lower for longer, inflation's going to be transitory. These guys thought that buying bonds 30 years in the future would be very profitable for them. They were wrong. Prices went the other way because inflation was higher. So see, Sean, that is interest rate risk versus credit risk is something where you have the de facto risk-free borrower, that's the United States Treasury, and then every other person or a corporation that's more risky than the US Treasury, which is essentially everyone in the world, they have to pay another incremental spread on top of treasuries, right? So that's called a credit spread. That's what a bank is supposed to be managing. Once it matches its interest rate, funding, then it can make a loan margin, as long as the funding matches the term of the loan. But if you mismatch the term of the loan, then you're exposed to interest rate risk as well as credit risk. And these guys blew it. Well, why did they blow it? Because I think Powell was telling them, oh, don't worry, this is all going to be transitory. If you lend long-term right now, in a year or two, you're going to be really happy because rates will be lower. Rates were actually higher. That meant bond prices were lower. That meant if they had to sell those securities, they were in a very a deficit and a loss position.
So, Greg, nice to meet you. Did you know, do you think Powell was aware of this when they started raising rates and the risk that brought with it?
Hard to say.
They have insights into what these banks have on the balance sheet, huh?
Yes, but don't forget there's 5,000 banks in the USA. That's an incredible number, right? 5,000, down from 15,000 when I lived in the US, but still 5,000 is an incredible number. I would venture a guess that at least 4,000 of them have no idea how to manage risk. So therein is the problem, right? You just have a lot of exposure to these potentially mismanaged banks. And turning that on its ear, a bank like Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, was growing so quickly because it's in a hot spot, Silicon Valley, USA. You have companies that are IPOing and getting valuations from Silicon Valley venture capitalists that allow these people to have a lot of deposits. Well, when a bank gets a lot of deposits, it has to determine where to lend those deposits out to make their banking spread. And the pressure of money works everywhere. When people are throwing money at you, you're like, oh my God, where do I put this money to put it to work? And sometimes you make huge errors. And I think that's what happened with a number of these banks. They were, though, coached by Chair Powell that it's going to be transitory.
That's not a problem that everybody has when they're having money thrown at them.
There's one bank that I've seen, M&T Bank. M&T Bank apparently just knocked the cover off the ball. because they did not take interest rate risk. And if you look at their results, they say we could have made an incremental $3 million, but if we had done that, we would have lost $240 million. See, there is the thing. You're picking up
asymmetric.
Picking up
asymmetric to the
nickels.
downside.
Yeah, well, picking up nickels in front of a steamroller, right? That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
Rusty, what you got for us?
Yeah. I was wondering.
Can anyone hear Rusty right now? I can't hear
Hello,
him.
Rusty.
Rusty?
I can't hear him at all.
I can hear him.
Rusty?
Rusty, you
We
there,
had that
buddy?
in-
Rusty.
Yeah.
Testing.
We had, yes.
Root
Right.
duck.
I mean, if he's not going to say anything,
I mean, I don't know why I
I
tell him he can ask a
Unmute.
question if he's going to fucking do this every time.
Are you there, Rusty?
Thanks, guys. All right. Are we finished?
Oh, here.
I mean, okay, Foss is getting involved. Wow. All right. My question is like, people were betting on whether they were going to cause interest rate rises or
What?
continue money printing, or which combination of those two things. But then they ended up like they feel like they're doing both, right? They're like raising interest rates while printing money. Like who has the advantage of
Lizard people.
of them printing money and raising interest rates at the same time?
Nobody, Rusty. I mean, this is sucking and blowing, right? Like, I mean, these guys are just, well, the end result is the people that have the advantage are Bitcoiners, because this guarantees the debasement of this of the fiat currency.
Is it lizard people?
Lizard people? No, they don't have the advantage. They think they have the advantage, Yellow, but they don't.
Can you, Craig, Potato Craig, can you zoom in on Craig?
Oh, Mr. Foss? Yeah.
Yeah, make me big.
Yeah, we're making him big. Here we go.
Okay, this is my mind whenever Craig goes in macro speech and I don't understand the terminology. I have to Google and then I get bored and I just like piano music plays in my mind. You sound like and I just see the sea behind you, the photographs, and I contemplate what I'm doing with my life for some reason. And that's my break. Okay, thank you.
Attaboy. No, that's good.
What kind of photos are they?
Those are from Pottery Barn, apparently. My wife got them from Pottery Barn.
Okay.
You need to get some Bitcoin art behind
I
you.
have it.
Foss.
I can turn it around. I actually have the Bitcoin white paper on my door. Hold on. To prove that I'm not lying. What's that?
Nice.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then there's
dope.
Tone Vase. Do you see Tone Vase art on the top?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's actually Tone Vase, and then there's the Bitcoin white paper. What else do I got?
I thought all Tone's face art was actually Rusty's art.
Is that you, Rusty?
Yeah.
Is it?
Rusty,
no,
is that yours?
It actually has components of my art in it. So it's got like the Vegas skyline in the background, which is the artist asked to grab and put it in the art. But it's I think his name, I can't remember his name. I think it was like Vista Art or something, or like.
No, it says V. It looks like it says VK on it. Van, right in the corner.
Yeah.
It says VK, I think.
Yeah,
so
I can totally see it right now.
I think he's a bit of a shitcoiner though. I can't. Last I checked, he was all into NFTs and shit. So yeah.
Okay.
But it's a good piece of art though.
No, it was great. I mean, that was last year unconfiscatable. I picked that up. That was a blast. That conference was a really, really fun conference.
Really fits with the milieu of the room, don't you think, Yellow?
Milieu.
Milieu.
So, okay, I got another question. Rusty, put your hand down first.
Yeah.
What's the difference between like the banks like Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank?
Oh.
I can't even hear Rusty right now. He's too muffled.
No, he said he's got another question.
Yeah.
Oh, he does?
That's what he said.
You're just assuming. I was waiting for Greg to ask me.
Yeah.
Well, it's been something that's weighing on me for some time, and I know a Mandalorian can't take off their helmet, so I'm just wondering if they sleep in them. Do Mandalorians sleep in their helmets?
Damn. Me? How would I know that? Who are Mandalorians?
Yeah, of course they sleep in their helmets. It's the way.
First of all, you gotta ask yourself if Mandalorians sleep. The answer to that is yes, they do sleep. Second of all, is a head of a Mandalorian, do they need a pillow or do they need something hard to sleep on? Obviously, they need something hard to sleep on because they're very strong.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Mandalorian.
What's a Mandalorian?
What are you guys talking about all the time now? Huh? We're talking about Mandalorian.
I feel like I've got more questions now than answers, but thanks, Sean. Anyway.
Okay, here's my question. What's the difference between like a Silicon Valley signature bank and like a JP Morgan, Wells Fargo? Like, what's the difference? Is it just the people that handle risk?
It's a great question. You know what? Certainly size. So let's say the size of a signature Silicon Valley bank, or right now one that I'm looking at closely, obviously everyone is called First Republic, right? First Republic is about a $200 billion bank, which means that's the number of loans they have outstanding. 200 billion, which is a massive amount.
Same size as Silicon Valley, right?
Right around, okay, because they're right around the 20th largest bank in the USA, plus or minus.
That means they have what, like a few $100 million in cash?
In cash, it all depends on what their liquidity management. But here's the bigger thing: what is the equity that they have to protect against losses on those loans? That's what's called capital reserves, or the risk in banking. Because if all of the loans were made with equity, no depositor money, well, that's fine. Meaning the equity guys take the loss, but there's no return in banking. Like there's no guy that'll lend money out dollar for dollar without levering it so that they can increase the return on the lending function. That's why fractional reserve banking exists. No one would take the risk of lending dollar for dollar. They have to lend $20 for every dollar they put in. Where does the other $19 come from, you guys? It comes from a depositor's money. You see? So the leverage accrues to the equity holder on the upside, but when things go bad, the equity gets blown out of the water. That's the nature of banking.
Did you have
baklava? You asked me how big. Sorry?
Did you have baklava or something?
You know what I had is a light beer. This is a crappy American beer I'm drinking, all right? And it's killing me. I should be drinking like some proper Canadian beer, but I'm drinking a Miller Lite, which is not bad beer, but it's not a Canadian beer, you know?
Shout out to Big Rock Brewery in Edmonton right now. So
that's better.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's like one of those chocolate flavored beers.
It's a honey brown.
And how much? What's the alcohol content?
It's a 5%.
Okay, that's not very good. You got to get up to the 8s, okay? When you're drinking it, when they're in the 8% range, those things are like drinking, first of all, it's a syrup. Yeah,
we are playing bingo with your things. Okay, if we had 8, we're going to be dead now. Okay.
Okay.
We had 8% beer, yes.
All right, so chocolatey beer sounds delicious, and it brings me to one of the words I've been seeing thrown around on Bitcoin recently, which is COCO, and I have no idea how to say it or what it is or what.
No, say it like it sounds. Cocoa.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and it stands for.
We have a bingo.
Yeah, well, maybe not, because this is a new one. You can't have a bingo card on Cocoa because it's only happened within the last couple of days. Okay, but Cocoa stands for.
We're on the ball here.
Contingent. Atta girl. Yeah, you are. Contingent convertible debt.
Okay.
And this is basically contingent on something going bankrupt, and then you're fucked. Okay. Like it's just the craziest piece of shit debt structure made for the fiat Ponzi, and they got zeroed. They had $17 billion of this outstanding on the Credit Suisse deal, shoved in their face, got zero for it, when the equity holders, which in theory are a subordinate claim, they get $3 billion. You see how the fiat Ponzi rewrites the rules? And that's what happened. So $17 billion of debt gets a big fat zero, of which PIMCO, one of your largest investment managers in the USA, owned 800 million. Now, 800 million sounds like not a lot of money, but guess where the money got lost? pension funds and people that invested with PIMCO got a big fat donut on their investment. Damn.
Plus, I'm sure there were like derivatives on top of it, which made it even worse. Right?
There's derivatives in banking, not on top of that bond per se, because you can't really, you can't lose more than zero. Like, I mean, if you're in
Europe, you can.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
I want to hear a question from Becca. Becca, go ahead.
My question is, how secure is the Canadian pension fund? So when I retire,
you're cheating.
No. Oh, I had a real question, but sure.
She's shitting.
No, cheating.
I can't understand his accent ever.
I know. Neither can I.
I can't understand your glasses.
It's worse than the Quebecois accent. So, yeah. Ooh, shots fired. I'm from the West, so.
West Side.
Oh, hold on. Are you Canadian?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's fantastic.
Swiss.
Yes, I'm over in Calgary. I
can't wait to meet you. That's amazing. I know. Have we met? It doesn't matter. I'm so place. Proud to. I'm so well. It sort of is, but yes.
It is, yeah.
So I grew up in Montreal, but I'm an English Montrealer, and then you have the, you have the Frenchmen.
The rest.
Well, that's okay. They're good. I'm married to a French Canadian lady, so
Beautiful.
But it's a different two different cultures, no question.
Oh, for sure. There's many different cultures across the country.
Oh, yeah.
Becca,
the question: You're worried? Are you worried about
French, English, and moose? Right?
And
yes,
moose.
French, English, and moose with our moose shekels, or whatever.
Moose shekels.
No, Yellow. What was my question? Please remind me.
I don't know.
Pension funds, or banks. I think you were worried about banks a little bit.
Well, I was just going to ask: am I going to get my CPP when I retire in 2052? No.
Not even close.
Okay,
not even
excellent.
close.
So I should be stacking Bitcoin, yes?
Yes, but also in the United States, it's the same thing. There is no money. There is no money in the coffers for any Social Security.
That's bullshit. There's Neil Kashkari said there's infinite money.
Okay, I guess there's infinite money.
I get money taken off my paycheck that's supposed to be saved for me for when I retire.
It's paying people right now. It's paying people right now. So basically, that's the part of the Ponzi.
Yeah.
While we're talking, a French person is like, set fire to my baguette.
All right, I'm gonna mute him because Rusty's got a question.
Hey, hold on, Becca and Yellow. You see this picture here?
Hey, it's a moose.
It's a moose in Jackson Hole. All right. This is a moose that was at the mining conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Yellow. That's a big friggin' animal. All right.
Did you pet him?
Look, there's the moose, and there's the mom and the calf, okay? Sitting in the center of town. So
first question, did you pet them?
No, man, you're not supposed to. Yeah, nope.
Second question: did you eat
more
them?
dangerous than bears?
Yes,
they are big friggin' animals. The moose meat is actually quite good. I'm not sure if you guys have eaten moose, but it's a very tasty
more dangerous than bears, really?
Yes. Moose are extremely dangerous, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus, they're huge.
Yeah,
not worse than drop bears. Drop bears are way worse.
Drop bears
and then
are
they trample you.
Yes.
Are they tramplers?
I'm gonna moo on you. I'm very
they're tramplers. Face. They come charge at you. They will destroy you. They're like twice the size of a horse.
Come to your face and they say, "I'm gonna moo on you."
Rusty, what's your question, buddy?
Well, it was kind of on Becca's point of talking about like Canada pensions and what about the currencies? Like, what about the Canadian dollar or the Australian dollar? Like, what happens if shit hits the fan and we do have that hyperinflation situation in the US? Like, do the other currencies just like print along with it, or what happens to other sovereign currencies?
Well, I have that expression, right? The US dollar is the best looking horse at the glue factory, right? So the reality is all fiats are going to debase. I think the US dollar is the one that looks the best, but it doesn't mean that the other ones, what it only means is the US dollar is debasing the slowest and everything else is debasing even quicker. So, I mean, you can argue, here's the out, okay? If Canada or Australia got their shit together and started charging for their natural resources in Bitcoin, oh my goodness, it would totally decouple from the US dollar, and the Canadian dollar would become one of the strongest currencies in the world, and so would the Aussie dollar, and it would change economics. But right now we're pricing our valuable natural resources by and large in US dollars, which the US can print. So what does that mean? It means the US dollar can print Canadian energy. The United States can print Canadian energy. How fucking beautiful is that if you're a US citizen? And how bad is that if you're a Canadian citizen? So wake up, Canada, and start charging for your valuable natural resource energy in Bitcoin and storing that Bitcoin in your treasury so that Canadians can have a valuable reserve asset rather than shrinking US dollars or US treasuries.
So what do you make of the news?
No.
I was first. No, go ahead, Rusty.
No, Marcus, he doesn't have his hand up.
Like I was thinking, like, isn't there disadvantages? Like, isn't the incentive for the countries to just print along with the US? Because if their currency becomes too valuable, doesn't it become unaffordable to export? Like, people don't buy things off them anymore, or am I getting that wrong?
No. Look, I mean, it's a huge, no, it's a huge way. It's a huge machine. It doesn't change quickly, but over time, the incentive would be to have a strong currency for the benefit of your population. Because if your currency's strong, you can buy more of other stuff, right? Relative to if your currency's weak, it costs you more to buy other stuff in a world of trade. This is something that takes a long time, Rusty, to work out. And the reality is Canada is one. It's not even as important as the state of California, right? Like, we're a G7 country, but we don't even have the economy the size of the state of California. So we don't matter. Like, we can claim all, and then Australia, I hate to say it, is even worse than Canada. So if we think we're bad, you fucking losers are way worse,
Yeah,
right.
if you think about it, Australia is like the invest bro of Canada.
So keep your hand down, Rusty.
no, but we just have to tell the truth, right, guys? I mean, come on.
That's right.
Yes.
Australians don't matter.
Right, so what about now? There's news about the Chinese and Russia accepting like Chinese currency.
I want to get
what does that mean?
Well,
what's your take on that?
I'll tell you what.
It means that Russia is sick of. Russia is sick of getting rewarded or getting paid in US dollars that the US can just print more of. And they're selling something that's very valuable. It's called energy. And they're selling it for something that is declining in value. Putin gets it. Putin is actually quite a smart person. All right. Whether you agree with his policies or not, he is a very smart person when it comes to economics. So is China. So they both play the long game. These guys are playing a 20-year game, and the US is chasing its own tail for 90-day reporting. It's like, this is the reality.
I don't buy into that. Mainly because I'm an American, but also because I'm an American.
Miracle.
But, it looks to me like China and Russia are two top-heavy authoritarian states, and they're trying to compete with, let's call it a relatively open market. And they're just, you can't play those games like a top-down government versus an open economic system, right? Every time those two pieces go up against each other, the open system or the more open system wins.
As long as it's open, but is it really open or is it manipulated?
You can make the argument that it's never been open.
Okay, there you go, sir. So that's why they are looking at changing the balance of power.
Right, but they're, the yuan is not isn't the answer.
Yes. Yeah, look at the antlers. Look at the antlers on yellow. That's called physical power right there.
Yeah.
It's not
I'm
abstract
projecting.
power. That's projecting physical power. You are a very smart man, Yellow.
Oh, I have physical power here. Projecting physical power. Okay, wait. I have something.
Bingo.
Bingo. Hey.
Oh, hey.
How about this?
Wow.
Who's that?
Who's
Now,
that?
who is it? Is that Jason? Is that Jason?
Now
Lowry?
that's
No.
power.
Bingo.
Hey,
Is that
bingo!
bingo?
Yeah! Yes! Bingo!
All right, I have a real question. All right, so 2/3 of Russian and Chinese commerce is now being transacted in yuan and ruble. Now, Russia's also saying they're going to use the yuan to trade across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. How realistic is that for them to do? And then what kind of impact might that have on the rest of the world's economies that use the US dollar as a reserve currency?
It's impossible to predict. I would just say this.
Yeah, but
ultimately,
this is the
I
where
believe
you can make ridiculous predictions.
Okay, I'm going to make it. This is not even ridiculous. This is the logical outcome for someone who wants to control the world. Price all of your exports in Bitcoin, especially exports like energy that the world needs, and you're selling valuable natural resource energy for digital energy, scarce digital energy. You're making a good trade. If you're selling your valuable natural resources for a US dollar that can be debased over time and they can print as much of it as they want, you're not that smart. And that's why Putin looks at himself and goes, why am I doing this? And he wants other alternatives. The answer is Bitcoin. I believe he knows that answer. Perhaps he's not doing it yet, but I would venture a guess that one of the reasons the global hash rate has gone up so quickly is because there's a nation state mining Bitcoin on the, under the radar.
On the DL.
On the moon.
On the DL. Now,
what do you know? What do you know, Greg?
I know zero.
Come on,
if you're playing probabilities, guys, if you're playing probabilities, listen to the speech that
you're not talking about El Salvador. We know
no, because it doesn't matter. San Salvador is 6 million people, Yellow.
Yeah.
It's less important than the city of it's less important than the city of Miami. Okay. Like, as much as I love that country, fuck
Miami?
The greater Miami. No, the country of El Salvador. The greater Miami area is more important in a global economy than
is
the entire
it's less important
country.
than Australia. Yeah.
By an order of magnitude.
Fair. Okay. You know what it is? the GDP of El Salvador is 29 billion. The GDP of the USA is 29 trillion. El Salvador is 1/1000th the size of the United States. Like, as much as I love them,
they're both 29 though.
One's a trillion and one's a billion. So you go from there, Greg.
They're not
you
that
do
different.
the math.
They're not that different.
You do the math.
What's
now, listen,
debt?
Sean Harris, let's bring this up. When we're down there for the halving, it's going to be
Big
a totally
Sean
different. It's going to be a different thing, right? But for now, you just got to do the math in terms of, a pecking order and what matters and what doesn't.
10th grade math. Now,
he didn't say it. That doesn't count.
I know it doesn't count. I tried to get him to say it. I'm sorry. Now, the question of the evening that usually comes from RD is going to have to come out of Yellow's mouth tonight because he requested that it comes out of Yellow's mouth. So, Yellow,
I did.
Not you. RD did. But if you could go through your notes.
And, fuck that guy! Really?
Yeah, really.
I'm gonna be doing his job now.
Yes.
Don't you already?
Oh wow.
Don't you already?
Did you not read the meeting minutes I sent you, Yellow?
Okay, let me get my notes. So, Greg, thanks for joining us. And the meme factory test stream that we all know doesn't exist. So the question of RD, the classic question is, if you had to, RT, mute.
We all know that the meme factory doesn't exist.
He knows.
I said it. RT, mute, or like, who will it be from us here?
God.
Did you
Okay, say it
understand
again.
any of
If
that?
I have to, yeah, go again. Go
RT,
again, Yellow.
RT, like, and
Retweet.
mute.
Retweet, like, mute.
All
Are
right.
we adding in the zaps from Labra?
Yeah, we are. He's just
Yeah.
Yellis is being obstinate.
Yeah.
All right, so
Like,
Yellow's
oh, wait,
being
I
a
have it,
diva.
goddammit. Okay, like, is it, no, first the negative. Mute, like, retweet, and then zap.
Okay.
so
And then,
I'm zapping.
That's it.
I'm not Nostra yet, guys. I'm not a Nostra
okay,
guy,
okay,
so,
then the three
yeah.
first.
Shame.
How dare you?
Well,
How
I,
dare
I
you.
know I should.
And
Hey,
then
guys,
bookmark,
I'm 60. I'm
bookmark.
60 years old. I'm 60. You
That's
got to
a
give me
no
a chance
excuse.
to.
He's
Look,
the late
it's,
late majority. Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
even know
Not
how to
60.
operate my iPhone yet. So
No way you're 60, man. You're wearing an Oakley hat.
Just download
Are you
Damas.
are
It's
you
not that
are
I
you
hard.
did. I did. I'm
self-custodying?
there. I've done 3, whatever you call them,
Notes.
nosters or whatever notes.
Oh,
You
yeah,
are
you are on.
self-custodying
You're
your
on
Bitcoin,
us.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
all right, so
No, you know what? You know what? So tell me the difference. I'm here to learn. What's the difference between the meme factory and whatever TEM stands for?
Oh, Rex. Those losers.
No, I know what the difference is because they're a bunch of cucks, okay?
The
They
difference
really
is-
are.
the
Don't
difference
They
is
are
money
a bunch
makers.
of
They're all
cucks.
right, guys. They're all right, guys. Come on.
Are they? Okay, all right. What is the difference though?
Becca,
Like,
Becca doesn't like them apparently.
No, there
Why?
There is no second best, Greg.
is no second best.
I think you guys are rock and roll, but at the end of the day, there was this guy Matt that just came after me on Spaces today. That like, you know, obviously I've done something. I kicked their dog or something at the wrong point in my life, but you're not this. You guys aren't the same guys, right? One is
No.
you guys.
No,
all right.
definitely not.
That's not us.
All right.
Okay, the
Oh, he's
But you
going.
didn't, you didn't answer the
Rusty.
question.
the triple elite memes is another meme gang. Let's
Is
say.
that what it stands for? TEM,
Yeah,
triple elite
triple
memes.
Triple elite
Okay.
memes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
They're younger guys. They're very passionate about
Passionate.
Bitcoin. They're they're a little bit more toxic. We need also
Just
those
a
guys.
little.
I also don't agree with everything they do, but they're very entertaining. Don't take it personally. Okay,
I don't take it personally. I don't take it
And
personally.
Matt is like to be the contradiction. Like
All right.
likes to do that, you know.
I
So
wouldn't say they're like
said
really
it like
young
a
guys,
trolling.
though.
I would say it's like a kind of trolling they do.
Trolling. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But the question still stands from us here, Craig. If you had to RT, like, or mute, who would it be?
So I have to pick someone in
Yeah,
this
like,
that I will
yeah.
retweet.
Yeah, like kill Mary.
I like Sean Harris. I got to retweet him. All right,
It's a good
because
retweet.
yeah. I like all of you guys, so I think I'll put a like everywhere,
That's
and
some
then
bullshit.
mute.
You got to pick one.
No.
I'll go with the potato, Greg,
There
and
we go.
then if I gotta mute someone, I am muting Canada. Okay, I'm muting myself because we just don't matter. Like that's
Becca
the
muted.
reality of it. Like I can't say it any other way. We have a lot of really amazing Bitcoiners in Canada, but we just don't matter. We're just like a piece of fucking garbage that you can wipe off of the corner of your table. Because
You would think though, Greg, with all that energy up from Canada, if you could convince some of those politicians to start mining Bitcoin with that, you guys could actually
wouldn't
matter
we
in the
be
future.
amazing? God,
It would be,
Plan
but-
Marcus,
Incredibly
wouldn't be
amazing.
amazing. Okay, I haven't given up yet, but the reality is we think we are actually important in the world, and we just don't matter. And
You don't.
that's I have to mute Canada, okay, because we just don't matter.
That's
So just
muted.
I like it.
yeah. I'm muting myself. Like as much as
No,
I
no,
love
no,
Jeff
you-
Booth,
no,
I
you
love
muted Becca.
BTC
You muted
sessions.
me.
I'm no me. Well, okay.
You
At the
muted
end of the
Canada,
day, I
she's
guess
gone.
I
You
muted.
muted Canada.
Yeah.
That's it. We're
Yeah.
done.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. You guys are all muted.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
Rusty,
Now I'm scared to. Yeah, now I'm scared to think of what he thinks of Australia. If Australia's worse than that.
well,
You are worse,
we all-
remember?
Yeah, you guys are like a dumpster fire inside of a larger dumpster fire.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But it's sort of sad,
Don't
right?
know.
Because everybody, it's just shit rolls downhill, right? And shit rolls downhill, and we're just getting the shit from everyone else in the world. So
Yeah.
And Australia is way down under.
Way down.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I do have another question though. Back on the triple elite meme situation. So obviously they're being mean to you. On that note,
no, they're not being mean. I just don't get there. I don't. Well, look. Anyway, I'm trying to. It would be amazing if we directed our firepower outwards rather than inwards all the time, right? Like, I mean, we don't have to. We have an amazing community that we don't all have to agree, but it's funny that some of the biggest fights are guys that don't like what Peter McCormick says, or Dieter doesn't like American HODL, and it's sort of funny, but it's sort of sad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Did you just rush him through his answer? Yeah. But I got to say.
Yeah. It's an important discussion. Obviously, we've been having on Twitter.
Clearly.
And that is, and there's up and down. There's 50-50 on what people think. Did Yellow make you cry? Is the question.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
come
Because
on!
no. He asked. I was sailing along. I was sailing along very. I was like, this is going to be my last podcast. Everything was going to be fine. And then Yellow asked the question, why did I just choose to leave? And I choked up. Why did I choke up? Because it was tough for me to make that decision. And I have since reconsidered that decision. But hey, I'm an emotional guy. I was making a decision on behalf of what I wanted to do to improve my family life and whatnot. And it was emotional. And Yellow wasn't the reason, but Yellow's question was the one right towards the end of the podcast where I just choked up because I was basically saying goodbye, right? And I think of the Bitcoin community as my extended family, and I was sort of saying goodbye to my extended family, which sort of is very soft. But at the fucking end of the day, I was just giving my true emotions to the people. So that's what it was.
You can't do that. It wasn't my fault.
No, sir.
I'm glad.
Not even close.
I'm glad we've got the definitive answer on that, Yellow.
Yeah.
God damn it. Now they're going to clip the part that you said yes, and it's going to end there. And everybody will be saying, like, you made Greg right.
No, you know what? Hey, look, if you can't change your mind, then you're too stubborn to manage risk. And I changed my mind because what I realized that this outlet of anger against the system, I need to express that anger, and Twitter is a good platform to try and convince people that there's a better way. That's all there is to it, right? There is a better way. I'm lucky to have met guys like you on this panel. I consider all of you my friend. I'm really lucky to have met guys like Jeff Booth and John Vallis, great Canadian guys that otherwise I never would have met. And I was very sort of looking at myself saying, man, I'm going to miss this. And so, yeah, I choked up, but fuck it. Like, hey, are you the first person not to cry at a podium? I mean, if you've never given a goodbye speech and you didn't choke up, you're not human. So whatever.
When do you think you'll be giving your next goodbye speech?
I hope never, because I'll learn from my mistakes, right? Like, I'll learn from my mistakes. I know that I'm going to die on this hill. So I'm going to die on this hill, and I'm going to fight until the very end.
Yeah, we got fired by the head.
No, we died on the hill. We died on
we already dead on the hill now.
But don't you guys want to leave the world a better place than when you came into it? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I actually feel pretty guilty that I'm thinking, that I'm not leaving the world in a better place. So I'm trying to make amends.
The 80s were really
I hear what
nice,
you're saying,
so.
Greg. I hear what you're saying, Greg. And the advice I'm going to give you about social media is the same I gave to my mom, is that whenever you have a question or you're wondering about why somebody is reacting the way that you don't like, just ask me, because in the internet, we are the experienced ones.
Yeah.
We are the experienced ones. You are
Yellow,
the kids.
you know as well as I do that I do not care one iota what other people think about me. The only thing I want people to understand is I will tell the truth as I see it forever. If
Even
I'm not
if-
telling the truth, then I'm not an honorable person. And I just see so many people who are not being honorable to themselves. And okay, I have issues with that. That's
but
about,
like
that's about it.
you gotta understand, like especially Twitter and social media in general, it's like a kind of theater in some aspect.
Oh yeah.
People are doing stuff because they're bored.
no.
People
And
are doing
no,
stuff
they're-
because
it's good. It's
they want to
it's
get
that,
entertained.
Yeah. Well, it's
It's
crazy.
not
It's
like
what's that-
one-on-one talk.
No. What's that movie? Man, the thing about Facebook, the whatever
Friday
that
the
movie
13th.
was.
No, the social.
The social,
network.
yeah.
Scary movie.
Yeah. No,
Social
Sean Harris
network.
just said
The
the
Matrix.
social network. It's so true, right? They build on your own weakness, and then they keep plugging shit that's going to make you come back and react stronger, and they suck you into the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Okay, Greg. Final question right here.
Yes, sir.
So block height 840,000. That is the halving.
Yes.
We already know that you're going to come down to the halving party in El Salvador.
Yeah.
But I have another question for you. Will you speak at the halving party in El Salvador?
It would be my honor. I think that community is amazing. I've been there already once for the Adopting Bitcoin conference. So that was, I think, in November of this past year. It's an absolutely amazing country with amazing people. And, guys like Chimbura and all of these guys that are just doing Bitcoin Beach stuff. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And all I know is very simply, if Canada doesn't get their act in gear, we better learn to speak Spanish because El Salvador is going to take over our country in order of importance on the global pecking order. And actually, I wouldn't be upset if that happened because I root for the underdog, but I also root for people telling the truth. And I actually think President Bukele is a brilliant strategy guy, but he's also honest as the day is long. He's not scared of calling out the bullshit. He calls out the New York Times. He calls out the IMF. I think it's a beautiful thing. So looking forward to that party, Sean. I would be happy to speak. I know Max and Stacy down there are doing amazing work. As well as guys at Bitcoin Beach. Roman Martinez. I mean, I can't tell you how amazing it is to walk on the beach and see the kids with Bitcoin banners and all the stuff they do on the beach. It's just friggin' amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do it in El Salvador was because that's where it should be, right? We should celebrate the halving, and we should celebrate it in the country that's
has
really
the guts. Has the guts. Yes, that has the guts to make a difference.
What's the furthest country from yellow? Yeah, let's have it.
The Greeks wouldn't get it. Greeks don't understand.
Or yellow. We can do halfway. We can go into Madeira. Okay, Madeira is sort of like an El Salvador, and it's just off the coast of Portugal, so it's not that far for Greece.
I'll get you. I'll buy your ticket for you. Don't worry.
Nah, that ain't happening again.
All right. What do you want to say, Marcus?
I was going to say that's the next halving party in 5 years. Block height 1,600,000 something.
All right, Greg. You've been very generous with your time tonight, and I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
I love you guys. I love you guys. Thank you.
Can you tell everybody here where they can find you, what you're working on right now?
Yeah, that's just, I guess it's crazy that there's people that follow me on Twitter, but that's my main platform. I'm not smart enough to operate more than one social media platform. So I'm still promoting my Twitter presence. And I'm there with a Twitter handle, Foss, Greg Foss, Foss, Greg Foss. But I'm thankful to you guys. So let me throw the thanks back to you guys for doing everything. I'll tell you, tonight is a NCAA tournament basketball game. Did you guys know that I remember Big Sean Harris playing at Utah State when he had his big yellow afro? I swear to God, kid, I remember you on the court. I swear to God, when you guys were in the NCAA tournament, I'm like, this is really, really cool that I could meet a kid like that. and you don't have the afro, but you have the presence. And, I'm really excited to meet young men and women who are going to change the world. That's all I'm saying. And, there's people, you don't have to agree with me all the time. I'm just asking that you consider how important it is that the young kids are doing stuff to help change the world. So happy to be a part of it. All I bring to the table is 35 years of mistakes. Okay. I've made every mistake in the book over 35 years, but I'm still around because I make amends and I make sure that those mistakes don't kill me. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I need to make a point there because I know you're in your 60s and you said you only had 35 years of mistakes. So you've got 25 years.
I'm actually 50. I'm 59 and I could go to 40, but the bingo square says 35. So I'm trying to get the bingo squares, trying to count the bingo squares. Okay. So, I could go up to 40 years, but when I was 20, no one knows the mistakes they're making, right? When you're 20 years old, you know shit about fuck. Okay. So at the end of the day, you got to just put all of that stuff away because you know really zero about anything.
All right. Well, Greg, thanks for coming in tonight. And to our viewers and listeners, thank you as well. Everybody have a good night. Stay safe.
Go stock Bitcoin on Coinbets.
Coinbets. Yay.
Thanks, guys.